and issues as well. Alright, so it looks like I'm having a bit of internet issues at the moment, and sitting in second. Sweetcrown 19, looks like he just pit. Currently, looks like he's going to try to go to the end of the race in those soft tires. Oh my goodness. Sorry about the internet connection today, everybody watching from home. Looks like my internet is struggling as well, but we will mission on. About 9 laps to go here in this Grand Prix, as the gaps have begun to form here. So not too much action going on. But you know what? Let's ride with Sweetcrown. He's on the. Looks like he's probably going to close up to Gernman in potential action on the stream for everybody watching at home. But I guess it's one of those races. We've had 2 DNFs so far, George JT and ISRL Mushroom. George JT decided he was going to retire, not having the best race weekend for him. But I'm sure he'll come back next week as strong as ever. And Mushroom fortunately had a bit of an issue early on, and he crashed out of the race. Sweetcrown 19 already closes the gap to just over 2 seconds in a lap to Gerdman. Jamie 1 currently, he's hoping Gerdman can hold off Sweetcrown 19, because Jamie 1 definitely wants that win, and he wants to make sure Sweetcrown doesn't get that second position, because he wants to limit the damage, shorten the gap between him and Sweetcrown in that championship. They are the 2 biggest competitors so far for the Drivers' Championship at the moment. It's still, but that's going to be a very tough task to do, as Sweetcrown is catching up very quickly to WSR Gernman at the moment. I'll take a look. He's at less than a second to Gernman on lap 19, and just at the start of the lap he was 2 seconds away, and now he's like right up behind him. So Fly By Night takes a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So he's not happy. So it looks like we got side-by-side battle going on. Oh no, and that's Sweetcrown 19 that spun. Sweetcrown 19 spun, hit the side pod of Gernman there, as they were very close, going side by side into that into that S section. So Sweetcrown 19 very upset now. So he's got all that time to make up. But meanwhile, somebody who's probably very happy hearing that on the stream, if he has tuned into the stream, is Jamie 1, who is still sitting in first position. So Sweetcrown 19 back to a 8-second gap to second place Gernman. After that incident, now Jediant is getting very close behind on those older medium tires. So we'll see if Jediant can actually make a move, stick on Sweetcrown 19. Let's take a look and see. I'm not too sure. It doesn't look like he took any damage on that front wing, so looks like it was just a spin, just a loss of time. So we'll see if he can make that time up with about 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix. That's seen it all. It's seen spins, some DNFs, safety car, internet issues. You name it, we've seen it here at the Japanese Grand Prix, here at Suzuka. It looks like some of the drivers are starting to come in for their last pit stops, getting on those soft tires. Jamie 1 still electing to stay out for at least another lap. His medium tires are 17 laps old, but he still has 6 laps to go before the end of the race, so I'm not too sure if he can make those laps stick. So for all we know, Sweet Crown 19 might still have the better strategy at the end of this race, given the top two might still have to pit before this race is over. But we will see as we're coming down to the last few laps of this Grand Prix. Sweet Crown has already closed the gap down to 7.5 seconds from the 8.5 as Ibiku sets the fastest lap on soft tires. So he's looking to get that extra point in the championship for that fastest lap. It looks like Pubed as well, the other Alfa Romeo, looks like he's closing the gap on Giant as well. Down to 1.3, so we'll see if he can pass and give that the Alfa Romeo a few extra points in the Constructors' Championship. Looks like elsewhere we have Josh 2 trying to catch up to ISRL Carter. The tires are about a similar lap age, but Carter is on those slower tires. So for now, I would say the advantage could potentially be in Josh 2's hands, but at the same time, those medium tires are going to fall off a lot quicker than those hard tires. So that could be a very good battle near the end of this race. Those look to be the closest intervals so far on the track. Everybody else, for the most part, is kind of just doing their own race, it looks like. Very unfortunate. Yellow flag in Sector 1. I don't really see it on the mini-map. So potentially just a little bit of gravel that was kicked up. So definitely not the end of the world there. So we're down to, looks to be the last 5 laps of this Grand Prix. So we'll jump on board with Pubed at the moment, or actually we'll stay on board with Josh too, because it looks like he's closing the gap on Carter with those medium tires, and we'll keep an eye on top 2 if they decide they want to pit with 5 laps to go. Because Sweet Crown 19 can see it now, down to the gap down to 6.1 to second place Gernman. And it looks like the gap between Jamie 1 and Gernman has stayed relatively the same at just under 9 seconds. So advantage could play into Sweet Crown's hands depending on how these last few laps play out, and if the leaders decide they want to pit. But for now, we'll still ride with Josh 2, buying his time a little bit. Looks like there's a lapped car that's coming into effect as well, but that could help Josh 2 actually with the DRS, since as much as they're lapped, you can still get the DRS detection with those lapped cars. So that might help Josh 2 catch up to Carter as he wants to get... Oh no, and that's actually Josh 2 that runs into the wall and destroys his front wing, so very unfortunate for Josh 2. As he has to give up that battle with ISRL Carter before it even began. So that's too bad for Josh 2. Very upsetting for him, especially in the closing laps. Maybe those medium tires just gave out for him. But that's one more pit stop that he's going to have to take. And that means Fly By Night is most likely going to jump up into 7th position. Maybe even El Biku could get that 8th position, depending on how long that pit stop takes. Meanwhile, looks like Giant is still doing a good job of holding off Pube. They're on very similar tires. Jamie 1 and Gernman still going on those medium tires. I think at this point they're thinking, I'm going to go to the end. I can't risk one last pit stop with this few laps to go. But Jamie 1 is still growing the gap on Gernman, but Gernman unfortunately can't say the same with Sweet Crown 19, he's probably pushing. I mean, he's on ERS 1, but he's probably trying to squeeze every last second out of those tires to catch up to Gernman. It actually looked like Josh 2, a little bit of insult to injury, took a 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty there, as he went into the pits. So very, very upsetting for him. So we're down to the last 3 laps of the Grand Prix. We still have Jamie 1 and Gernman as your top 2. Sweet Crown 19 in 3rd. The laps are starting to wind down for Sweet Crown 19 to get that 2nd position. At this point, he might just need to damage control this race. See if he can get that 2nd and not settle for that 3rd position. Just to, just for the sake of his lead in the championship. So Biku 1 takes a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. It looks like he's been hovering around a 2-second gap to Jediant in that battle for 4th position, which is the battle we're watching at the moment. Down to the last 2 laps, it looks like, of this Grand Prix. You know what? Let's take a look at Sweet Crown 19. We'll ride with him. Looks like he's getting close to Gernman. Wants to try that move again. About 2 laps to go, it looks like. But yeah, Jamie 1 looks like he's still growing that lead. His tires are probably screaming at him, wanting to be taken off, but he's gonna ride those for, looks like, maybe hopefully 2 more laps, and if he can make a race as good as he's done so far, then that'll be a nice win for Jamie 1. Another yellow flag in Sector 1 that I can't see on the stream. Sweet Crown 19 closing up the gap very quickly on Gernman. Looks like Pubed as well is closing up that gap a little bit on Jediance. So both the Alfa Romeos are looking to make moves on these the last few laps here of the Japanese Grand Prix. Gap down to just over 2 seconds for Sweet Crown 19. So we'll see if he can make that move on Gernman. We'll actually ride with Sweet Crown unless something else happens between now and the end of the race, because I want to see this move. I want to give it to you guys on stream. It's the 9-lap-old soft tires versus the 22-lap-old medium tires. It's going to be exciting for these final few laps. And so as long as the internet on our end stays decent, we can catch that for you on stream. Once again, I apologize for the internet issues on my end. We will work to get this fixed for next week's Grand Prix. Here we are. The gap is down to 0.6 seconds. We'll give you the onboard of Sweet Crown 19 as he's starting to sniff on the back of Gernman. And this is going to make for a very exciting pass as we come to this last lap and a half. Jamie 1, it looks like he's run away with this race so far. Sweet Crown 19 pops that into overtake mode, and he looks like he makes that pass, but he needs to go wide as well, so he gives that position back to Gerdman. So he's going to try again on the run down to 130R. Right up on the back end. It looks like they're going side by side. Will Sweet Crown make that pass stick? So Sweet Crown 19 does take that 2nd position with about a lap to go, but at this point it's too late to catch up to Jamie 1. Was already pretty much near the end of the S sections on Sector 1 as they're just crossing the line now. But Sweet Crown 19, at least he was able to make the move stick on Gernman, so that limits the damage Jamie 1 is going to make by potentially taking the victory of this race, assuming all goes well for him. Looked like Pube had gotten very close to Jediant, but looks like Jediant did grow that lead again. And looks like, for the most part, this is just seeing the standings might be what you get. We might see some penalties play in effect at the end of this race. But you know what? Let's give you the let's ride with Jamie 1 for a little bit. Haven't given him much love, talked about him a lot on this stream, but as he's coming around the last few corners, we'll give him a little bit of stream love in that Haas car. As he's coming up to 130R, just has to carry this car home a little bit. The tires are probably screaming, but that's quite alright. Just has a few more turns to go through on this on this Japanese Grand Prix until he can sip the champagne, enjoy that victory for a job well done. He's been extremely consistent this race as he comes around the last turn, and there we go. He crosses the line. It's official. Looks like Jamie 1 is the winner of the Grand Prix. Sweet Crown, as he's coming around, looks like that's going to be it's going to be a second position for Sweet Crown 19. So probably not where he wanted to be. I think he wanted to battle Jamie 1 for the win, but unfortunately that spin meant that he's gonna have to settle for second. It looks like Pubed actually passed Jediant in penalties, so good on him. Probably speaking to Jess, speaking to his engineer, and knew that he didn't really have to make the move, so he gets that fourth position. Carter coming in sixth. Fly-by-Night, he's coming around the last corners, has to settle for seventh position. As he takes a 5-second time penalty right at the end of that race for an unserved penalty. So we'll see if that affects anything. Doesn't quite look like it, given Josh 2 is a 26-second gap behind him there. So I think it's safe to say Fly-by-Night gets that 7th position. That's still a decent amount of points for him. It looks like the back markers are just crossing the line now. Josh 2 crosses the line as he does what a lot of drivers like to do. Josh 2 actually takes that unserved penalty as well. But given the gaps, it doesn't look like it was too much of an issue. We're just waiting on LBQ1 to cross the line this time around. As he crosses the line, and that's that. So, that is the Japanese Grand Prix. Fairly exciting race, lots of eventful action going on. Too bad we didn't have crazy battles going on all the way to the end as we take a look at the podium. We'll watch them sip the champagne. Looks like it was Jamie 1 who took the win. Sweet Crown gets second, and Gernman in third position of this Japanese Grand Prix ISRL Tier 1. Had a little bit of everything in this race. Some spins, a safety car, some decent battles, some gaps, everything down to internet issues. Because, why not? But that's just about all I have for you. Jamie 1 in first, Sweet Crown 19 in second, WSR Gernman in third. And then there we have the top 13 of 13 drivers. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for bearing with me with all these issues. If you did... Probably wasn't the best race. I will work on the internet and come back to you guys next week with much better internet, I hope. But if you did like what you saw, once again, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any notifications. But that's all I got for you. So that was the Japanese Grand Prix ISRL Tier 1. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.